In the Dark. Written by Connor Cooper. Part 9. Breach, breach!
No, not yet. I'm not done. They're not perfect.
On the ground!
It's not right.
Put it down!
Goddess, why? Their flesh, it's not perfect.
Don't do it!
Your flesh is hideous. Put it all away.
Blood splat over the darkness as the abyss began to swallow him. Salem walked forward, not really knowing where he was going. This place wasn't one he recognized. It felt almost familiar to him. Every step felt like walking through water, but he kept walking further, and not noticing that he was fully human again as the day he was born. Suddenly he stopped in his tracks before looking down where he stood. 3 white arrows pointed towards him with 2 rings appearing shortly afterward. Not being able to understand what was happening, 13 orbs appeared in a circle around him, and a familiar symbol on the floor.
Unfit.
The brightest one spoke in a voice Salem swore he heard before. That was when the crest he stood on broke apart like glass, causing him to fall down into a massive writhing melted flesh that dug itself into his skin, peeling it away to the bone. Reaching out to the orbs of light for help, only to watch as they turned into humanoid figures that turned their backs on him and the flesh, leaving them both behind. Watching the floor begin to pull itself back together, sealing him away with the flesh, the human tried one last time to give a soundless plea for help. The last thing he saw before the flesh consumed him was his skeletal hand reaching for the light that was sealed away by that symbol. Feeling slowly taken away by the flesh, Salem slowly began to give in to the flesh, seeing that no one was going to help him from his hell. No! Salem breached free once again. Even though he was a bare skeleton, he clawed his way free of the flesh and out. The flesh tried to pull him back into itself, but he fought in rejecting it. He wouldn't fall to it, not without a fight. Unexpectedly, the darkness began to reach out towards him, reaching out a helping hand. Seeing that his prayer for help had been answered, the skeleton of Salem reached, taking the hand made from the void. A deep red light roared behind the shadow, revealing it to have a humanoid form, but the human didn't care about anything but to escape the melting flesh. A very familiar faceplate looked out at him. A figure pulled him free from the flesh and began to pour over him, encasing the human and changing him into the chimera he is. Yet the flesh didn't stop its assault and reached for him, but a wall of pure crimson flames roared between the flesh and Salem, turning into the wire wall behind him, and looking forward, Salem looked up at the giant figure looming over him. Even with the flames so brightly lit, the figure was like the shadow moments ago, almost made from the abyss itself. Standing tall, the many red eyes looked down at Salem with a crown upon its head, countless wings on its back, and a hammer in its right hand.
My boy, make me proud.
The red flames roared brilliantly, turning into a pure white before the 4-legged Goliath was engulfed by the flames, and Salem along with the giant, consuming everything into a pure white. And then, nothing. Salem's room. Lifting himself from the bed while holding his mismatched face, the cold texture of his glove caused him to hiss slightly before trying to remember when he took his helmet off last night. While he pondered that question, Milo shifted in the spot next to him. Getting up, she yawned while rubbing her eye.
Sorry, I need to stop waking you up.
Salem apologized. Milo looked at Salem, sleep still clear in her eyes before looking at the still dark sky behind the window, holding up her hands to speak with her host.
It's okay. Come here.
Salem did so while Milo gently wrapped her arms around his shoulder and head before hugging him close to her heart. Resting her chin on top of his head while holding Salem, sitting in silently, the chimera enjoyed the warm embrace of his partner, not realizing he was back on the bed while still in her embrace. Slowly the former human fell back to sleep with Milo holding him close to her heart, letting him know it was okay and that she had him safely in her arms.
I wish I could help you with your wounds within your mind, darling.
Dream Realm. All hail King Blueblood! I can't hear you. All hail King Blueblood! One more time. All hail King Blueblood! Luna felt her eye twitch as she watched the dream of her nephew play out before her very eyes. Quickly slamming the door to the prince's dream, Luna couldn't help but to groan. Ever since she met her new nephew upon her return, he had been nothing but a thorn in her side, being a complete pain in the flank. How her sister dealt with him before her arrival was anyone's guess. Still, the night wasn't over just yet, and she had a few more doors to go through. Walking on the bridge of light connecting to all the dream doors, Luna stopped at the sight of 3 new doors before her. The first one closest to her was a beautiful door, made of marble, with golden laced into it, with red cloth hanging over the door and lit burning candles around the foot of the door and its frame. In the middle of the door sat a golden crest with a bright blue gem-like material with a white horseshoe symbol right next to the heart of the stone. The second door was completely different, with a more common appearance. The door was that of a house door, but completely black with a silver knob. Although as simple as it was compared to the first, she could feel something radiating from it, almost like smoke. Upon closer inspection, she could barely make out a faint symbol upon the front door that almost looked like some sort of skull. The last door was almost similar to the second, but only for that strange feeling that was seeping from it. This door was made of a metal with a hydraulic frame. It lacked a knob, but it held a button located at the right side of the door, which must be the only way to open it. Not knowing whose doors they were, she went to the first one and opened it. Opening the door, she peeked in, but was taken aback at what she was witnessing. A giant in blue and gold armor stood before a defeated, much bigger green beast in a suit of armor that looked like it was made out of scrap metal. The beast panted its metal red eye and glared up at the being in the blue armor that held a weapon that glowed similar to the way Salem's weapons did when the former human fought the terrible trio. But this weapon didn't have the low red glow, but rather have a bright blue glow, and was almost just as big, but the giant's hands made it look small in comparison.
I ain't finished with you yet, Space Marine.
The green creature panted weakly. The giant simply raised his weapon at the beast's head.
But I'm finished with you, Orc.
The Space Marine blasted the head off the green monster as it fell down, before the giant turned his head to walk away. He stopped upon witnessing Luna in the doorway. To her shock, Luna was surprised to see a very human-looking face staring at her, but he looked hardened, almost similar to Salem.
Witch!
The giant spoke with slight hatred in his voice before sprinting at her, pulling back a longsword that roared with thousands of sharp teeth ready to cut her down. The giant was surprisingly fast for his size, and with how heavy his armor looked, she was fast enough to close the door before he got a chance to strike at her.
Whose dream is this?
Luna backed away from the door before looking at the next one. Taking a deep breath, she walked over to the next door before opening it. Upon doing so, she was met with a sight black of black sheets and pillows blanketing the entire place, with a single light shining down the middle. Looking at what was under the light, she smiled when she saw none other than Milo herself, and in a beautiful-looking black dress that looked like something a princess like herself would wear. She was held by a knight in black plate armor that had his sword and shield thrown aside to hold her close. Golden eyes twinkled under the eye of the helm of the knight, causing Luna to realize who she was imagining the knight to be. Slowly, she closed the door before she was spotted again and turned to the last door. If she was correct, this was Salem's dream door. Holding her arm, she shivered at the thought of what nightmares were behind the door and what dark images waited behind it. She hadn't changed her mind. She wasn't going to. Not now. And hopefully not ever. She prayed to her mother that she would never have to. The Princess of Dreams then turned and walked away, leaving the middle door unopened. Underground caves.
This is too easy.
Summer smiled at the work she spent the entire day doing. Clusters of condensed dark hypercrystals were placed right at the weak points under the castle palace of Cantaloupe. Summoning her sight to her hand once again, the sharp-toothed queen lifted it up, before striking a fuse made out of grounded hypercrystals that hissed with purple flames running like snakes across the walls.
Time to rise and shine, Salem.
Turning into black smoke, she vanished into the shadows, where the hypercrystals exploded, followed by the methane gas causing the entire underground to rumble and shift. Parts of the natural supports gave away, crumbling down. Somber watched from the shadows, but her smile faded upon noticing that the supports she knew were holding up the castle itself were holding strong. Her eyes widened at the magical glyphs appearing on the rocky pillars, causing the Dark Queen to curse Celestia's name, realizing that she must have placed such protection spells long ago. How she didn't sense them before was anyone's guess. Cursing her plans ruined again, she faded back into the shadows once again, to think about other ways to get her revenge.
At least I did some damage.
Upon leaving into the dark space, she failed to notice the object buried under the rock, with the faded image of a thundering hammer painted on the cold metal hull of a buried unknown object. Part 10. Morning.
Discord!
Celestia's royal Cantaloupe voice echoes through the throne room, causing the Chaos God to flinch out of fear. Turning around, Discord froze at the very angry-looking Celestia storming over to him.
Now, Tia, I didn't...
You unleashed 4 of the worst criminals upon Equestria. What do you think was going to happen?
Saucy roared, her mane turning into a pure fire for a moment, while Discord held up his hands. But they are all in the custody, are they not? That young man Salem beat them right.
Then how do you explain that?
Saucy pointed out the window to the giant holes between the castle and the city below, causing Discord to shrink slightly out of fear. Okay, I know this looks bad, but in my defense, how was I supposed to know Tyrek or Chrysalis were to plant bombs or whatever caused the ground to crumble? Discord defended himself, but Celestia wasn't having it today. Just the moment she was about to unleash a world of very colorful, heated words upon the Chaos God, the elements along with Sunset and Spike respectfully entered the throne room.
This is not over. We will have a very long talk before my sister races the moon. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. Calming down, Celestia collected herself before turning to the group.
I'm sorry to keep you all here, my little ponies, but I fear that this whole mess isn't over.
Celestia glared at Discord while he shielded himself from her gaze.
Don't worry, Princess. Whatever you need, just say the word.
Twilight stood along with her friends, ready for anything that was thrown at them.
Yeah, what Twilight said.
The element of loyalty agreed, but first I noticed someone was missing.
Girls? Where's Salem?
The caverns. Dang it, these ropes weren't designed for this kind of thing. Suck it up. We'll have to make sure no pony was hurt during the cave-in. Wait, did you feel that? What now? The rope! I get it, it wasn't. No, it's splitting! What? Before the guard above could grab the line, the rope gave, lost, causing the two to fall. But not before an armored gauntlet grabbed one of the closest guards to the line, while the other tethered to his body stopped falling as well.
You know gold armor's really fucking heavy, buddy.
Turning up, the solar guard gasped at the dark armored figure that was Salem Gray. Holy mother, Faust, you're... Hey, what happened up there, Flash? The guard below asked him, not being able to see Salem, who had his clawed fingers dug into the rock behind him. It's Salem. Bricket, it's that Salem guy from the guest suit. You're fucking serious.
Yeah, it's me. Hold on to your helmets.
Salem warned as he did a jump climb to the surface level. Making it to the top, Salem dropped the 2 guards, while another group were waiting at the mouth.
Are you guys serious? Why do you need weapons and armors for rescue services? Come on, guys. Use the thing in between your ears and think.
Salem tapped the side of his helmet. Sorry, sir. It won't happen again. Flash apologized, to which Salem blinked in surprise.
Sir? Look, bud, I'm not your commanding officer. There's no need to call me sir.
Salem informed Flash while he got dusting himself off. I know, Salem, but sir, you saved both the Crystal Empire and all of Equestria in under 48 hours. It's not every day you meet the Black Knight, sir. Flash remarked with a smile while the other guards hit the orange-coated pony before grabbing his neck. Hey, leave him alone, kid. He's got better things to do than to hear you going off, rookie. The other guard hissed. Salem was still processing what Flash had called him. The Black Knight. And when did he start having a nickname?
Salem, why am I not surprised to find you here, my friend?
Luna's voice met Salem's ear, causing the survivor to look up and seeing Luna and a unit of guards that Salem has never seen before. There were about 50 of these pony... bats? Unlike the gold of the regular guards, these pony bat hybrids were done in a purplish-silver armor, and where they stand side to side marching forward.
Seems like I've been nothing but bad luck to you.
Salem joked, causing Night Princess to give him a look of concern.
Salem, you aren't bad luck. Why would you think that? I would say, as a matter of fact, you're...
It was a joke, Princess. Sorry. Seems like I need to work on my jokes.
Salem interrupted but turned back to the group behind Luna.
Luna, who are these guys?
Luna gave a proud smile at his question, holding a small hand to force behind her.
Dear Salem, these are my Lunar Guard. Whenever the sun sets, these fine stallions and mares switch to the Solar Guard to defend Canterlot Tower.
Luna smiled back at the guard.
Although seeing how these cave-ins were so sudden, I believe my sister's Solar Guard can use aid in this manner.
Well, this is your show, Princess. Just point me where you need me.
Luna's smile grew at Salem's words before looking down at the cave behind them.
Glad you're willing to help us yet again, Salem.
Looking at the entrance for the moment, she clapped her hands together.
Alright, enough chatting. Let's go in.
2 hours later.
Anything to report, Captain Nightshade?
The old bat pony gave a salute before crossing his arms behind his back.
No, Your Highness. We haven't found a single pony, and from what the Solar Guard has learned, no pony is missing in the city. We believe no one was out in the fields when the cave-in occurred.
The grizzled voice of the captain said with a hint of relief in his voice. Luna, on the other hand, made her relief more known by giving a sigh, turning back to the Lunar Guard in the caves, and she noticed someone was missing.
Captain, where is Salem?
Mr. Gray. I believe he went deeper into the caves to help a squad I sent to check any faults that could spread and cause another cave-in.
Nightshade reported.
When was this?
About a half an hour ago, Your Grace. I believe they went down to the northern system closer to the castle.
The old veteran informed. Not able to ask another question about the squad and Salem, the two snapped their attention to a loud scream of pain coming from the northern tunnel system, causing the princess and the Lunar Guard to take flight through the system.
My leg!
Salem stared down at the bat pony before him, who had slipped when part of the ground he was on gave away into a cave trench, which resulted in breaking his leg against a rock.
How bad is it, Doc?
The purple-armored bat pony gritted and narrowed his eyes while looking down at the pony.
It doesn't look that bad. Might be worse than it looks. Don't worry, Tuck. You'll be back on it in no time.
Duck answered while Salem overlooked the bat pony.
Don't worry, bud. It's only a minor fracture.
Salem stated as he rose up.
How do you know?
Doc asked.
I just do.
Salem replied bluntly.
Oh, wow. Crutch, look at this.
The youngest bat pony pointed out while the leader of the small group grew.
What is it now, Private?
Crutch's jaw dropped as did Tuck's and Doc's own. Confused by what they were seeing, Salem looked over to see a nearly dropped his own jaw by the thing before him. Milo, on the other hand, was bouncing up and down, shaking Salem's shoulders while pointing at the giant piece of metal covered in rocks.
This can't be.
Salem whispered while Milo appeared closer to the metal thing, then pointing something onto it. A symbol. Salem bolted forward without a word to the giant metal object, leaving the small team behind him.
Man, and I thought the ladies ran first when they see me. Bow, chicka, ow!
Tuck hissed while Doc flinched back.
Sorry.
Running through the broken door hatch, Salem smiled under his helmet while the optic sensors allowed him to see clearly in the pitch-black corridors within the metal halls. He still couldn't believe that this was down here. This was from Earth, and he knew that the symbol was the outer hall was the one he read about. Sure, this wasn't a Foundation craft, but from what he read about the Church of the Broken God, we're also trying to find a way off-world before the end. How was it here? Hell if he knew. He might have to ask about it later, but a dark thought came to his mind suddenly without warning. He shook it. If there was even a slight chance for anyone to be on this craft, then by whatever being is watching over him now, let there be at least a single thread of hope. The tunnels were long, and the deeper he went in, the more intact it looked. Perhaps they got here when he did. Maybe they crashed here on this world, or... Wait, then how... He suddenly stopped. The feeling he had moments ago was gone, and that dark dot crashed back upon him with the strength of a tidal wave. For at his feet made him go completely cold. Laying down, face down, was a being cloaked with a faded red robe. One hand was metal, while the other was bleached bone. Milo stared down at the skeleton before shaking her head. Her teeth clattered like she was trying to speak, but no words were spoken. Dread filled his heart as he slowly brought his hand down on the cloaked figure's hood, before pulling it back and causing the human skull to roll out.
No.
Salem's heart sank deeper than it did that day so very long ago, but he shook his head in refusal.
No. This can't be it.
Rushing in the halls, he turned to the first room he entered, but all he came across was more dead bodies.
No. No. No!
Making it to the bridge of the ark, Salem just stared at the skeletons that littered the deck. Some were on the floor, while others were still in their seats. A few were hunched over the control panels. Feeling completely lightheaded, Salem stared at the body of a skeleton, giving a silent scream up at the ceiling. Staring at the body for what like an hour, Salem felt a mix of overwhelming emotions. Indescribable feelings rushed through his veins before he just screamed.
Damn it!
Crashing down against the wall behind him, Salem slowly slid down with his hands holding his faceplate, while he felt nothing but pain and despair. Sitting there among the dead, the last Earthborn just sat there in complete dismay that the human race was truly no more. He at least hoped that some other Foundation sites or other organizations found a way off-world like he did. But if this ark was any proof of what happened to the human race, then his hope was all but gone. All that was left of humanity was him. Yet he was barely even human anymore. Salem felt his eyes water, but held back the pain. That was until he felt a hand grab his shoulder, causing the Chimera to turn and look forward to his partner. She looked at him and gently removed his helmet, placing on the ground, and Salem looked at her face, seeing tear stains over her bony cheeks while she looked at him. Her action spoke for her.
Let it out.
Salem clenched his teeth while leaning forward. Milo once again held him close to her, while Salem began to break down in tears within the dead ark. There we go. Another short video today, but hey, continuation in the dark. I'm glad to be back on the series. I'm catching up with all mine, slowly but surely. That aside, however, I would like to thank my wonderful Patreons. Thank you, my Tier 1 Patreons, Squall, Windfeather, Starlight Blaze, Dreamless Portal, and Rainflicker. My Tier 2 Patreons, Chase Lemaster, Sword Brother and Mordred, Nocturne, Solus, RD Bryant, Captain Blueshadow, Danish Dash, HKH4 aka Texture, and the Animated Ghost. And of course a large thank you to Silent Titan. That aside, however, I hope you guys have enjoyed. This has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.